Hi, my name is Katie, and I'm here to discuss the power behind an educated youth. The thesis statement for my paper is as follows: education regarding healthy relationships, safe sex, and drug and alcohol use should be openly discussed with our youth, informing adults of the free material provided to assist them in educating their youth. I know that these topics aren't always easy to discuss, but there are tools out there to make it easier. Your children are the future, and they deserve to be educated. The first part of my paper looks at 3 public service announcements: Your Brain on Drugs, The Meth Project, and Truth. I thought to myself, are public service announcements even effective? And a research done by Melanie Wakerfield proves that they are. So the first one I looked into was Brain on Drugs. It's a 1980s anti-drug commercial. This is your brain, the egg. This is drugs, the hot frying pan. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions? I'd like to take a second to show you this.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
That's powerful, right? I remember seeing that as a kid, and I was fairly young, so I don't know that I got the meaning, but I do know that I never wanted my brain to look like a fried egg, so I guess it worked for me. The second one I looked at was the Meth Project. It was founded in 2005 in Montana and has since expanded to different states as Arizona, Colorado, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, Wyoming, and Hawaii. This program is community-based outreach. It's done through TV ads, radios, billboards, and online advertising. Its hope is to reach kids 3 times per week and show them the harmful effects of meth. Since the Meth Project started in Montana, it has lowered teens using meth by 63%, 52% in the state of Idaho, and 49% in Arizona. I'd like to take a second to show you one of their ads.
Yeah, my parents think I'm sleeping at your house. Yeah, I'm just jumping in the shower. Okay, bye. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I first saw this ad in 2008 when I was about ready to graduate. A few months before graduation, the Meth Project came into our school to speak to us. They started out with explaining what the Meth Project was about and their hopes to reach children 3 times a week. And then they had a lady who was affected by meth. She had been in her house and was making meth and burned her house down with her children and her husband in it, and she had burns to prove it. And I remember how affected I was by it, seeing her and seeing the pictures of her in the hospital and hearing how she lost her family and the effects. It really touched me, and I think the Meth Project is effective and it's a good use to talk to your kids about drugs. The last one I looked at is the Truth campaign. This campaign is geared towards lowering the number of people who smoke. Their PSAs use scary facts to grab people's attention. The most recent one I saw is, which fact is uglier? That methane is found in dog poop and also in cigarette smoke, or that urea is found in cigarettes and cat urine? I don't know that I think either one is grosser than the other because they're both pretty disgusting, but Florida did a research study that showed that due to these campaigns, Florida teens are 4 times less likely to smoke than any other child in the United States. I'd like to take a second to show you their ad. 12,000 people dying each year from smoking. That's 3 senior graduating classes in my hometown. I can't even imagine losing all senior classes from this year to cigarette smoke. The next part of my paper was looking at talking to our children about healthy relationships, safe sex, and drug and alcohol use, and the ways that we can do it, a few pointers on informing your children, and some prevention strategies. Ways that teens explore relationships today are much different than they were when maybe you were a kid or your parents were out dating. Kids are now using cell phones, instant messaging, and social media sites like Facebook and MySpace. Dating to your child might be hanging out with friends or going to the mall. So it's important that parents know what their kids consider dating so that they know what their kids are doing. Youth also have to have healthy relationships instilled in them from a very young age. They learn what a healthy relationship is from their parents, their family, their friends, and media. Do not let media tarnish what your child thinks should be a healthy relationship. So I suggest that you go out and you talk to your kids and you model for them what a healthy relationship is so that they don't see Britney Spears being married for less than 72 hours as a healthy relationship. Some characteristics that I see as a healthy relationship are respect, safety, support, individuality and fairness, equality, acceptance, honesty and trust, and communication. You can model these to your child through your relationship. A few key things that I think are good to remember in talking to your children about these is be a good listener. Answer questions if they have them, and be non-judgmental. And above all, talk to them and with them, not at them. They'll respect you that much more. Safe sex is a huge issue, and I was not aware of this until I saw a study done by the Center for Disease Control. 50% of our teens are engaging in sex, 40% have had sex within the last 3 months, and 39.8% are not using condoms. That makes teen pregnancy even more of an issue. And the reason that 39.8% of our teens are not using condoms is because they've never been taught. And if 39.8% of our teens continue to not use condoms, the rate for STDs is also going to go up. Idaho is an abstinence-only education state, so its parents are ultimately in charge of teaching their kids about safe sex, because we can't expect our teachers and our schools to do it. If we want to see these numbers drop, we need to talk to our kids and see what they think about sex and see what they know and be there to help them. Drugs and alcohol is also a huge issue in the United States. A survey done in 2012 shows that 16% of our 8th graders have drank in the last month. 32% of our 8th graders have drank in the last year, and 50% of them say it's easy to get. They say they're getting it from their parents, their family, their friends. Don't be that parent that says, my kid's too young. I can't talk to him about drinking now. My kid won't drink. They're too smart. I don't drink, so my kid won't drink. Now is the time to talk to your children about drugs and alcohol because 8th graders are starting to drink. That's 13-year-olds. Talk to your kids now. A few things that I like to think of as prevention strategies are to monitor the drugs and alcohol in your home, stay connected with your teens, but also the parents of the kids that your teens are hanging out with, and keep track of your child and the activities that they are taking part in, and establish family rules as to what you think is good dating habits or your rules on drugs and alcohol. It's your responsibility to keep your child safe. Some things I like to think about when talking to your child about drugs and alcohol, and these are a few things to inform them. That alcohol is a powerful drug, and that beer and wine are not safer than hard alcohol. On average, it takes 2 to 3 hours for one drink to leave a person's body. Nothing speeds up the process of getting sober. You can't have a cup of coffee or take a cold shower and drive home. That won't help. And anyone can be affected by drugs and alcohol and can become a serious problem, even for a teenager. If we want to see these numbers drop with safe sex, alcohol use, There's a fine line between being a friend and being a parent, and now is the time to be a parent. We need to talk to our kids and guide them down the right path. Being a friend to your child could lead them down the wrong path. A good quote that I found by Aristotle is, "Good habits formed at youth make all the difference." So if we're going to take the time to talk to our children and educate them, there's no time like the present. And a study shown, I don't remember, it's in my paper, but it shows that kids respect you for taking the time to talk to them. So I did my service learning at the Radar Center, the Regional Alcohol Drug Awareness Resource Center. It provides free material to anyone in the state of Idaho: pamphlets, posters, books, video lending library. When I first got there, I was overwhelmed because they have so much information, but the more time I spent there, the more time I realized how important all this information is and how awesome it is that this information is free to anybody in the state of Idaho. While I was there, I got to do the Walk Like Mad, which is Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and this is a phenomenal event. It brings out people who've lost their kids to drunk driving accidents or family members, but it also brought out the Idaho State Police Department, the Meridian Police Department, Drug Free Idaho, obviously the Radar Center, and the juvenile corrections. They had the kids that were on probation out there, and they got to experience firsthand parents who've lost their kids, or they got to put on the drunk goggles and try to ride a bike in a course. They can see how effective alcohol is on the body and how terrible of a thing it can be to drink and drive. So I found that to be really powerful for me. But while doing service learning, I've also watched so many amazing documentaries that I can't express to families how important it is to watch. Bullying, prescription medications in our teens, post-traumatic stress disorder. So many of these things are affecting the United States, and it's time that we become educated and educate our youth so that they can do something and they don't sit back and watch more people be injured by these. Some other things to think about in talking to your children are parenting forums. I listed a few different ones, but these allow you to talk to parents in your community all over the world, and you can troubleshoot ideas. I mean, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, what's going to work for you. But above all, you're the adult, so do what makes you feel comfortable in educating your children. And a couple other things to think about are the studies for Center for Disease Control. These will keep you up to date on new research, like 50% of our teens are having sex. So have these statistics and give them to your children. And lastly, I wanted to have you watch a video by Laura Bremen. She talks about educating kids about sex.
Talking to Your Kids About Sex is a book that has been near and dear to my heart for a long time. It's one that I've been really excited to write forever. As a mom of 3 boys ranging from age 3 to 12, I think it's so important to give our kids the resources and the tools that they need to live healthy, long, successful lives. And part of that is really educating them not only around their bodies, but around sexuality. For so many years, I've been working with parents to help them with the tools they need to raise sexually healthy kids. And so this book is really a culmination of all that I've learned through the years about what goes into raising a sexually healthy child, and also based on all the feedback that I've gotten through the years. Sex education actually starts at birth. From a very early age, there are tasks as your children's sex educator that you should be focusing on. So for instance, in early childhood and toddlerhood, you're really focusing on teaching them the correct names of their body parts, setting the foundation for positive